Before we get started, I want to go back to whenever we told you about it, because I
Yeah.
got you good, didn't I?
You did get me good. I was supposed to go over to campus to record a video of the University of Houston getting into the Big 12. And that was the line of questioning that I thought was coming. And to my surprise, Kevin had a different agenda.
And he showed up with donuts and milk.
Donuts and milk, you know.
And his
hey,
makeup.
Trying to be a team player. I did have makeup because being in this business, in the TV business for 20 plus years, you know that HD can be unkind at times.
We were wearing exactly the same shirt. And that was not planned.
No.
If anybody noticed that. Man, this has got to be special, I know.
Before we get started,
Yes.
though, I'd like to recognize 4 Hall of Famers that are in the building. Coach Rudy T. Coop, who is outstanding. Carl Lewis, University of Houston great and arguably the best athlete to ever walk the planet. And then Dan Pastorini, who is one tough dude. Saw Dan get hit many, many times, but you know what about him? He always got up. And then I'd like to recognize 3 guys that took great care of me at the University of Houston. 3/5 of my offensive line are here tonight. Justin Jessup, and I always call him by last name, Baines.
Joey?
And then Mike Holly in the back. Carlos Leon is here as well, who's a really, really good friend.
And I think that speaks to the importance and what this means to you, because you were born in Galveston, you grew up in Dickinson. This has always been home.
Yeah.
It's something that you can see it. I mean, Tommy Fontaine, a friend of both of ours, a mutual friend that's been a friend of yours since first grade.
Probably 3rd grade,
Yeah,
I
exactly.
think, is when Tommy and I met, and we've been ride or die ever since. He probably knows where all the bodies are buried, so
But how cool is that,
don't get
though?
too close to him.
It goes so deep, though.
It does.
my point.
I'm proud to be a Dickinson Gator. I'm proud to be from the hot town of Dickinson. I am proud and elated to be a Houston Cougar, and I can't tell you how proud I am of what's coming for Coach Willie Fritz, who I saw in the building tonight. And then Kelvin Sampson has done one hell of a job on the basketball side. So when I say I'm a proud Cougar, I bleed red through and through, literally.
Yeah, there you go. You at Dickinson High School. At what point, growing up and going through high school as a quarterback, because everybody has people in their lives that they will never forget, and they wouldn't be who they are without those people. I know first one of the people you think about very deeply is your head coach in high school.
Yep, Dub Ferris, who underwent back surgery yesterday. My prayers are with him. Otherwise, he would be here tonight. He and I are like, we have a unique bond, because I would hope every high school player could experience the love that I have for him and he has for me. I can't talk about it without getting emotional. It's we met at just the right time. I was a 7th grader, getting ready to go to 8th grade. My 8th grade coach wanted to move me to wide receiver. He wanted to move Doug Reed to quarterback, and Coach Ferris stepped in and said, "The hell you are. Andre's going to play quarterback now. He's going to play quarterback when he gets to me," and he made sure that happened as a sophomore. We call each other dad and son. That's how close we are, and I hope every player would be able to experience that.
And if you get a chance, Opie did such a great job, obviously, as he does each and every year.
And he deserves a big round of applause. Opie Otterstad.
It's amazing.
Those paintings in the back, he painted one for me on Father's Day. There was a picture that Patty Smith gave to him, and it was a Father's Day that Zaylen my son had just won tournament MVP. And he came over and gave me the medal and said, "Happy Father's Day." And little did I know that painting was someone snapped a picture. Patty got it to Opie, and he made it come to life. It's in my living room at home to this day, and there's not a day I don't go by and see it.
Yeah, that's awesome. Opie, great job.
Thanks, Opie.
As always. And in the picture, you can see your high school coach there in the background looking over your shoulder. At what point at Dickinson did you realize you could go to that next level?
I really didn't know until my high school coach told me one day, it was at a track meet, that one day you can be an All-American. And I had no idea what he meant by that. I had to go home and look it up, to be quite honest with you. I just played the game. because I loved it. And that's where I think young men to this day, they kind of get misguided with all the transfer portal stuff. Where do you call home? And I know that I can call Dickinson home, and I know that I can call the University of Houston home, and I can always go back because that's where I started and that's where I finished. I didn't go to 3 schools. But to answer your question, thank you.
I tell people that story all the time. You and I have had this conversation about you'll always be a Dickinson Gator, you'll always be a Houston Cougar, you'll always be a Houstonian. That'll never change.
And that will never change. And it's unfortunate for those that can or choose to play in 2, 3 different places because when it's all over and said and done with, when you want to go back, where do you call home?
Yep.
And who remembers that you were ever there if you've played at 2 or 3 different colleges? So, but I didn't know. Coach Ferris saw something in me that I didn't see in myself. And I tell him that all the time. I was just a young kid wanting to play on the big team, and he gave me the opportunity to play the position I wanted to play and do it for him.
You get through there at Dickinson, the recruiting process begins, and we all, as Cougars, we all love this story. But you know where I'm going with this.
Yeah.
Take us through that, because you had some coaches coming in from other schools around the state.
Yeah, I grew up wanting to be a Longhorn.
Yes, you
and
did.
So much so that I had a carpet right in front of my bed. I'd see it every morning. It was my reminder of my goal of wanting to play at UT. And Coach Ferris, being just the way he was, walks up and he says, what position do you want to play in college? And I said, I want to play quarterback. And he goes, well, the next time that guy from Texas comes in here, you need to talk to him. And he just walks out of his own office and leaves me sitting there. And so I started to contemplate what exactly he meant. And so I couldn't wait for Coach Tommy Rio to come in the next week. He came in, we had a visit set, and he says that we've had a great success moving quarterbacks to defensive back. And the whole time I was shaking my head. And he goes, well, wait a minute, why are you shaking your head? I said, you do realize I've backpedaled for 3 games. That's it. And I've never played beyond those 3 games. And I said, and I'm sorry, but I'm going to cancel the visit. And he goes, wait a minute, you're not going to give us a chance. And I said, why would I give you one and you won't give me one? And so when we played them, we lined up and played them. We put it on their behinds every time we got a chance.
So it's not easy to introduce something. You and I have been friends for 25 years?
Yeah, at least.
It's not easy, at least 25. Because you know so much, but you want to ask things that other people need to know. I had one of the few notes I wrote down was 66-15 and 47-9.
60-40 the year before that.
60-40 the year before that.
Yeah.
Those were the scores when he played the University of Texas. What point did you know that this was a little different once you got to U of H? Tell me, just going in there at Jack Pardee and seeing something in you, what was that relationship like?
Well, he saw in me because I was getting my butt kicked on the scout team. And every day, my approach was, it was game day. Every rep was a game rep. And I was servicing the first team defense. And so they were wearing me out, but I would hop up, run back to the huddle. And I'd get clobbered again, hit again, get up, run back to the huddle. That's the way I was taught to play the game. You never laid on the ground. And Coach Ferris's philosophy was, I'm not coming out on the field to get you unless it's dangling. So it wasn't dangling. You hop up and you get back to the huddle and you execute the next play. Well, little did I know that was kind of playing in Coach Pardee's mind. And I didn't realize today that he played on that team with Coach Kenny Houston.
Oh, yeah,
and I know Coach Houston by coach because he coached at the University of Houston, but the Over the Hill gang, and that didn't, for some reason, didn't pop into my mind until tonight. But he finally called me to the side, and I thought I was actually in trouble. And he said, go over to field 1 and take some reps. And so when I got to field 1, Jenkins would give me about 4 plays, and I had to execute those 4 plays, then go back to the scout team. And by the second game of the year, we were getting ready for Sam Houston.
Was this your freshman year?
My freshman year. I was a little ticked off because I had to go through OBO, which was called Opportunity Bowl. If you didn't play, those guys know it.
Yeah,
if you didn't play a percentage of plays, you went through OBO on Monday. Nobody liked OBO because OBO was football hell pretty much. And so we scrimmaged, and there was no end to the scrimmage. And so I was ticked because I'd played enough to not go through oboe. And Coach Carl Hargrave, our receiver coach, saw me in the hallway, and he knew I was ticked off. And he says, what's going on? Close the door. And I went in his office, and I said, I'm tired of getting the run around here. You guys know that I should be starting. And now I got to go through oboe, and I know I played enough to not have to do that in the first game. And he goes, well, you're going through oboe because we're going to start you next week, and we want to get you some reps. So what time's practice start? So that was the end of that story.
That first start, though, who was that?
That was Sam Houston State, and we had to play and fight and scratch to beat them. They had this tight end, God rest his soul, I can't remember his name, but he put it on us. He was up and down the field, one catch after another, getting in the end zone. We had to outscore him, and we ended up doing that, and then kind of the rest was history.
When you see them come in there, everybody, people forget. It doesn't seem like it was that long ago, but guys didn't take shotgun snaps. I mean, it was a different world. But to see that and see John Jenkins and these guys drawing these plays up as a quarterback and a guy that could sling it, I mean, you had to be thinking, man, I'm in heaven.
Oh yeah. When I went there, I signed there to run the veer. By the time I got to campus, we were running the run and shoot, and there couldn't be two polar opposites. When I met Jinx for the first time, he asked me what side of the ball I was going to play on. I said, well, I came to play quarterback. Oh, Hoss, I'm glad to hear that, and he pats me on the back. Well, I knew right then I had to prove a bunch. He labeled me with the name Mr. Versatility because I was playing slot, running back, wide receiver, and everything in between, playing on special teams and all of that, and then got a few game reps against Oklahoma State, and the rest was kind of history after that.
4,700 yards in the 1989, 46 touchdowns. At what point did you realize in that offseason leading up to that 89 season that this could be special? This could be a Heisman year.
I told my son this story the other night. We were watching, I think, the movie Unstoppable, and I called him downstairs. He didn't want to come down and watch it, but there were a lot of life lessons that I was watching within that movie. And it's about a kid, if you haven't seen it, a wrestler with one leg. And it's a great movie. But with that being said, I just wanted him to understand what you go through to get to the other side, that you have to fail in order to get there. And so watching that movie kind of set it all in motion. With Coach Pardee, he's the one that gave me the chance and the opportunity. And I would be forever grateful to him for just taking a chance on me. And boy, what a ride it was.
How do you take those things that you learned? We're going to wrap things up. I want to ask you about Brothers in Arms too.
Yeah.
But how do you take those things as a young man, and you still remember them now as a basketball coach and as a father?
Basketball is my passion, and I love being underestimated. Guys come in the gym, oh, that's the football guy. That's what they call me on the circuit. He's the football guy. And I love it when it happens because I love the X's and O's of it. Coach Chancellor, I love the X's and O's. I love teaching. I love the life lessons that I can pass to my players. I want them to be able to come back years later. My goal for every one of them is to make the varsity as a freshman so that they have eyeballs for 4 years, that where at some point they can go play college basketball somewhere. People ask me all the time, why isn't it football? Why don't you coach football? I love it, but I love it from the position that I sit in on Saturdays and Sundays. I passionately love basketball and everything about it. Maybe it's because I was a decent player but didn't play in college. I don't know what it was, but there's something about it that just draws me to it.
How do you translate what you did in the game into the broadcast booth?
It works well because you have to know as a quarterback what all 22 players are doing, and then being able to articulate that to a fan base. And I just play it as though Mark and I are having a conversation, or Anish on Friday nights, we're just having a conversation in the booth. And I'm trying to educate someone out there that doesn't really understand the game, that if you watch one of our broadcasts, you walk away from it thinking, oh, I learned something tonight.
Brothers in Arms, tell me about that. I know
Yeah,
it's near and dear
that
to
is
your
near
heart.
and dear to my heart. That materialized, our foundation materialized over a lunch that I had with Patty Smith. I've been approached about golf tournaments all the time and lending my name to them and this, that, and the other, and I've never really wanted to do it unless we could do it on a huge scale and affect lives by doing it, and truly affect lives. We have a family at Brothers in Arms that we didn't really know it was going to turn out to be the way it has. We're in our 6th year now of giving scholarships to single-parent kids from single-parent homes. They grew up just like myself, Warren Moon, and Vince Young. And so it's Brothers in Arms, Houston.com. If you're interested in wanting to take a look, Patty's sitting there, and she can obviously give you all the information as well. But we touch lives, and the kids that we have within our program, they have built we've built a family, an extended family. We take them to an Astros game in the summer, so they all come back and they interact with one another. We'll take them, the Texas Bowl has been gracious to us, and that's how we now announce our new classes. And so when they all come together, there's peer pressure for them to succeed. And so we had no idea that it was going to be that way. We see it through until they graduate. I think this spring is going to be our first class of graduates.
30 years of friendship. What an honor for me to be a very small part of this. Great friend, better man. Ladies and gentlemen, Andre Ware, Houston Sports Hall of Famer.
Thank you.